Okay, so this next question or next set of questions are going to be the mixture questions. I'll do a couple of these with you on video. And so what you need to do is, in step 1, is identify your variables. So identify the solutions, right? So if you read the question carefully, it says one brand, which if you're talking about one brand, that's indicative that there's another brand. So one brand of cleaner used to etch concrete is 25% acid. And then here's a second brand. A stronger industrial strength cleaner is 50% acid. So this is like your X, this is like your Y. The actual question stem is here. And it says how many gallons of each cleaner should be mixed to produce 20. 20 is your quantity. Okay, and then the 40% acid solution, this is what results when you do the mixture. Okay, so I want you to understand that there's two equations here. So your first step is identify the variables, which, as you can see, we identified we have two. We have an X and we have a Y. And we know that the sum of X of Y has to equal 20. And we know that from the question. Alright, that's our quantity. Now in terms of the solution, this is 0.25x plus 0.50y, and that is equal to our 20, which is our how much we're going to have, but of 40% solution. That comes from that. Okay? When you do the math, you end up with x plus 20, or I'm sorry, x plus y is 20. And that helps us quite a bit at the end when we find out what value we actually have. We know that the product of this is 8. So this is originally 0.25x plus 0.5y. That equals 8. And what we want to do is we want to get rid of the decimals. My highest number is 2 decimal moves, so that's 100th place value. So I'm going to multiply by 100, and that becomes 25x plus 50y is equal to 800. At this point, if you notice, what I want to do is I want to cancel either x or y, because now I'm looking at this as a system. If that is the case, I could also use substitution. But I like the thought of multiplying all of this by negative 25. So this becomes negative 25x minus 25y equals negative 500. All I'm going to do is bring this over. This is 25x plus 50y equals 800. And so if I group like terms, you can see that the 25x's cancel. This gives you 25y is equal to 300. And then I'm going to divide by 25 on both sides. And so we in this case find out that y is equal to, let's see, 12. Alright, and so we need to come back here. If I have x plus 12 is equal to 20, I'm going to subtract 12 on both sides. So I get x is equal to 8. So I would need 8 ounces of the 25% solution and 12 ounces of the 50% solution to create 20 gallons of the 40% solution. Okay. Let's look at the pharmacist question. Right. Let's see the pharmacist question. So they're starting off with the question stem right away. It basically says pharmacist needs 20 ounces of a solution that is 40% saline. So that's what we want to end up with. They're saying how many ounces of the 25% saline and how many ounces of the 50% saline must be mixed to obtain the mixture needed. So this is like X and this is like your Y again. Question is basically the same as the other one. So we know that X plus Y, again, has to equal the amount of ounces that I need, which is 20. And I know that 0.25X plus 0.50Y has to equal the 0.40 times 20. Alright, and so what I'll do then is I will multiply after I find that this is identical to the other question. You can follow the other question, it's the same in the procedure. Let me show you the plain question. We'll do that one next. Okay, so what you need to remember is distance is equal to rate times time. If you can remember that. We're also going to look at in this case, the distance from Atlanta to Miami. It's the same from Miami to Atlanta. So there's the takeoff flight, which is 660 miles, and there's the return flight of 660 miles. If you pay attention, they're giving you 1.2 hours, the time it takes for each respectively. This is the return. So the return flight takes 1.5, and this is against the wind. So if I have a plane minus the wind, this is what we mean by against the wind. Over here I have P plus W, and then we will simply do a little bit of math here. So the rule of thumb is that 660 will equal the 1.2 times P plus W, and the same thing applies to the next one. 660 is equal to 1.5 times P times W, or P minus W, sorry. If I were to divide each side respectively by the hour, which in this case you can see I'm going to divide by 1.2. I'm going to divide by 1.2 here, and I'm going to divide by 1.2 here. I'm going to repeat that process here as well. This results in 550, and that's equal to P plus W. This results in 440, and that is equal to P minus W. So you have two equations. Let me erase all of this so you can look here. So if 550 is equal to P plus W, and 440 is equal to P minus W, and I use the addition method, I get 990 is equal to 2W, because the W's are canceling out, leaving me W is equal to the 990 divided by 2, which is 495, and I simply need to go back and find, I'm sorry, this is P, my apologies, P. So now 495 plus 55 will equal my 550, which is what I'm looking for.